Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, you with us?
I am. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Yes. Hey, the last few times we talked about starting seeds indoors, and I think we kind of put that into a little nutshell, and hopefully you'll be able to follow that, and hopefully some of that was meaningful. But now we want to talk a little bit about getting a garden started. And doing a little bit of planning, and some of this is really kind of go back to maybe the novice gardener or that individual who is just starting or doesn't have a whole lot of experience with gardening. So if the rest of you will kind of bear with us, I think it's important that we take some time here at the beginning of the year and talk about this, because it's planning is very, very important, isn't it, Ellen?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
very important. Set you up for failure or success, and we hope success.
You're right. That's an excellent way of putting it.
Right.
Set yourself up for success, not for failure, and don't try to bite off too much. On the initial pass. And one thing I always tell people, whether they new gardeners or experienced gardeners, is that please don't make gardening difficult. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be fun. It's not following a bunch of rules. And if you talk to Ellen, and I'll let her talk, she knows I don't follow a bunch of rules. I don't follow a bunch of rules, do I, Ellen? Okay.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we kind of improvise as we go, but we have fun doing it. I have fun doing it, and it's the same thing with my home garden, and I don't make it so rigid. Okay, enjoy it. We want you to go out there and have, worry about following rules all the time. There's a lot of different ways to garden correctly. There's a couple of things you shouldn't do, okay? And we'll kind of touch on those things as we go on throughout the course of the year. But, it can work out fine. Okay? You don't have to be so rigid. But, Ellen, where should somebody start, okay, when they think about wanting to do a vegetable garden? Eh? You're just going to plant everything?
Well, that's kind of what we want to talk about first. Do a little bit of planning, and depending on who you're planting this garden for, whether you're just doing it for yourself or for your family, or if you want to do a little, garden for the neighborhood, what kind of vegetables do you really like to eat? What do you want to plant? You got to decide that first. Do you want some tomatoes and some peppers and let it go at that, or did you want to try a little string beans and some beets, some of your root crops? So determine what vegetables you and or your group likes to eat, and then you can decide what you want to plant. And then when you're doing that, you want to decide whether they're cool weather or warm weather crops, because we've talked about that previously when we were talking about starting your seeds. Do they are they determined like your cabbage and your broccoli, or are they more your warm weather crops like your tomatoes and peppers that are going to need a lot of sun? So then you're going to look at your crops and determine, are they the kind that will thrive in some shade or partial shade or full sun? Your warm weather crops, most of them need full sun for a good part of the day, and we'll talk more about that. Go ahead, Mike.
Why don't you go ahead and touch on that right now? What is this full sun, and what is this partial shade and stuff like that? It's like partly cloudy or partly sunny.
Right. Well, specifically, especially if you're going to plant mostly warm weather crops, your garden's going to need some direct sunlight for about 7 to 9 hours every day. And that's usually between the hours of 9 o'clock in the morning and 6 p.m. in the evening. So to have a good, healthy tomato plant, for example, your plant's going to need those hours of direct sunlight. However, some of your cooler weather, like your lettuce and your spinach, they can do well with 5 hours of sunshine a day, a little shade, things like that. So a lot of that can be explained on your plant sticks if you purchase your plants, or on your seed packets. So take a look at what kind of sun you have, where you can locate your garden, because that's very important.
Yeah, so you kind of have to match up your proposed garden site. Okay, what kind of conditions you have in your individual yard, if this is what you're talking about, and what you kind of would like to plant, but in reality, what's going to thrive. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because even I had to do this, and um, you can even cut down a tree in your own yard if you want to, but you can't cut down your neighbor's trees very well. even
Right.
even though
Right.
you sometimes you'd like to do that, so you got to keep that in mind, and you also this is April now. Where's the sun going to be in June and July, in far as in relationship to
Mm-hmm.
how it passes over your house or over your location? Keep those things in mind also. So you got to kind of match up things, and
Right.
and try if you're new to gardening, try not to plant everything the first year. Okay, build slowly. Take 4 to 6
Mm-hmm.
things and try to do well with that. Okay, my wife would be
Right.
happy if I planted pole green beans. Okay, and that's the only
Only,
only
right?
thing I did. She would be ecstatic. I like to plant a little bit more than
Right.
that, but even though I'm an experienced gardener, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to kind of match up things, don't you, Alan? Between the
That's right. Mm-hmm. Got to match your location or your site to whether you have full sun or partial shade or partial sun, and match it up with whether or not you're going to plant some cooler weather crops or warm weather crops, or some crops that like some shade, like your lettuce and things like that,
yeah.
or your broccoli and cauliflower.
Yeah,
So,
you're not going to find any
hmm
vegetable crops or greens that really kind of just do well in total shade. That
no,
they might
no,
grow, but they're not going to thrive. So
right,
you,
right,
you got to think sunshine. How much sunshine do you have? Because like we tell
mm-hmm.
people, sunshine is the one thing you can't go to the store and purchase.
Buy.
Everything else you can. You can get soil and you can figure out water, and you can figure out other things. Okay, but
Fertilizer and all that.
you can't go to the store and pull sunshine off the shelf. So,
Right.
with that in mind, how about we stop for today because we've used up our time
Okay.
and we'll pick up on this next time. So, thank you for listening
Okay.
today.